Hello, sorry I'm late. I was just down on the surface working on some repairs, but I am here now, so thank you all for joining. Good to see everybody here. It looks like there's a lot of familiar faces in the chat today, so thank you all for joining. I thought you'd get a kick out of that little gag intro. I will explain what is going on with that, but that was a lot of fun to put together. All thanks to the ATEM Mini, of course, and the HyperDeck. So, yeah, with that, let's let's get started. Let me pull up the chat and see where people are coming in from. I did beam in from Star Trek. How did I beam in? I will tell you exactly how that all worked in a second. Looks like that worked pretty well. I took several attempts to get that right. That's what I was doing all before this actually was live. So yeah, I will. Great intro, you got me. Yep. The one thing I wasn't sure of was how long to wait without showing up before actually starting. No, I don't think I quite have my comedic timing down just yet, but hopefully it worked. Yeah. Anyway, thanks all for joining. This is we're here back at our normal Sunday time, and then and yeah, we're gonna do Q&A, talk about all things live streaming, ATEM Minis, ATEM Mini Extreme, which I haven't actually got mine yet. I see there's a few of them out there in the world right now, but we're still waiting for them in the US, and hopefully, with any luck, we'll get those very soon. Yep. And yeah, I have a couple other things to share today as well. And yeah, we'll just have some fun. If you do have a question, make sure you put my name at Aaron Parecki in the chat, or just the word question, which should highlight it on my screen, although I'm not totally sure that one's working. But if you mention my name, it'll definitely highlight on my screen. And then I will make sure I can see all the questions. Timing was good? Great. Okay. No, I did not get my Extreme ISO yet. Still waiting. Oh, but I did actually get a note from Blackmagic, and they're actually going to be sending me on loan the Web Presenter HD and the new 6K camera as well, because I do want to try those out, but I'm probably not going to actually buy them myself, just because I don't think I actually need them in my studio here. So I am very excited to be able to actually test those out. So I should be getting those in, well, soon, who knows, but it'll be, yeah, looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun. And I'll be able to help answer questions about those better than if I was just guessing. Okay, it looks like the question is not highlighting, so definitely mention my name instead, and that'll make it show up better. But thank you for the test. Where is the garbage truck? The garbage truck does not come on Sundays, so for better or for worse. Those of you who have been around for a while will remember that when I was doing my live streams on Tuesday mornings, then the garbage truck would come and make a lot of noise in the alley, and yeah, always interrupt the stream at a very inopportune time. Do I have a lens for the 6K? I have a couple of lenses for my old Canon cameras that I haven't used in forever. I hope they work, otherwise I'm gonna have to figure out another solution. Got enough from my credit card company that the pending payment was canceled. Oh no. I would call them. I would call up DVE store and ask what's going on there, because hopefully if you can figure out why it was canceled, it might be able to get you back in the slot. Oh, well, look at this. My Extreme is getting delivered tomorrow. It looks like the ISO comes a little bit later. Well, that is exciting. That is very good news. Yeah, they said that the ISOs would be like a week later. Who knows what that actually means, but a week later than the Extremes. So yeah, with any luck, we're gonna see these roll out today. I do have a lav mic. It's not on yet. You're still hearing me through my normal mic right now, but I am planning on getting up and walking around in a little bit to show you something which is, yeah, I'm excited about sharing this fun little gadget. Let's see. Have I played around with Zoom OSC? No, I still haven't tried that yet. It does look very cool though. Zoom OSC, it's like a layer over Zoom to let you rearrange windows all programmatically using the OSC protocol, so you can script a bunch of stuff. Does seem very cool. I haven't actually had a chance to play around with it myself. Can you talk about SRT and the pros and cons? So yeah, SRT, this is it actually is an open source protocol for streaming video. It's, I guess in that sense, it's kind of a competitor to NDI, where NDI is like the closed source version. I am not a big fan of NDI for that reason, because they don't make the protocol available to other people implementing it. So you have to like use their software that they ship. NewTek ships you like software that you can integrate into other products. So you can like make an iOS app, and you can make a Mac app and a Windows app and all that stuff that deals with NDI feeds. But that's very, very different from saying, here's the protocol, go write everything yourself, because it basically means that we're less likely to see NDI built into things like the ATEM, because they're not going to grab an SDK from NewTek and put that code into the ATEM, because it doesn't work that way. They need the wire level protocol. So SRT is something that I am a lot more excited about, because it is open source, it is a protocol, and it is something that could get built into a lot more hardware because it is freely available. And it's basically like, its goal is to get, you know, fast video from point to point, whereas that's very different from like video conferencing type solutions. So I'm more optimistic about that one. It is built into the Epiphan Pearl Nano. I just published a video on Friday or Thursday last week. And that actually does support SRT natively. And we are going to do a live show between myself, John Barker, and Photo Joseph, and maybe Curtis also, using SRT, where we're all going to push SRT feeds to Photo Joseph's larger Pearl, the one that can accept a whole bunch of different feeds. So we will get to try that out in the wild and see how it works. Okay, let's see. Sometime one of these days I'm going to fix up my little chat thing so it doesn't skip around, but that's mostly YouTube's fault. I had trouble recording from the ATEM Mini Pro. My recording stopped during the stream. Any recommended SSDs? Oh, that's no good. Yeah. Blackmagic does publish a list of SSDs that they have officially tested. There's a whole bunch more that do work fine, but I would, if you're having issues, I would first try one of the ones that they actually recommend. And if it still happens, then there's something else wrong. But that way, that'll at least eliminate that. Last week you talked about a type of server that could communicate with a hard drive while it is connected. Am I correct? Sounded very interesting. Oh, I was talking about, what was I talking about? I was talking about recording from my, now I can't remember what that was in relation to, but like, this is basically what we're talking about is a NAS, a network attached storage. So that is you put a bunch of hard drives into it, it exposes a network drive, and then you can connect to it from a computer or more than one computer, or sometimes you can even like upload stuff via FTP to them, which actually the Epiphan Pearl can upload to FTP servers automatically, which makes that like a perfect kind of workflow where you put a big NAS in your server room somewhere, and then you can have that thing pushing recordings to it automatically, where you can pull them off from other computers, which no unplugging wires at all. I have several Canon EF lenses. Do you have any experience using Metabone smart adapters on the G7 or other MFT bodies? I do not. I looked into this because I, for a while, was I I had a couple of Canon cameras, photography cameras, not for video. And when I started doing more video work, I was like, I clearly can't use these cameras for video. They don't have clean HDMI out. I need to find a solution. I started looking up what would it take to get Canon cameras for video, and they're really expensive. At least they were like five or 6 years ago. And I was like, this is really, I don't know if I want to have to spend that much on cameras to even just have a camera that I can use with my lenses. And I was like, okay, maybe I should look for these little adapters to use those lenses on the Micro Four Thirds bodies. But those adapters are really expensive too. And ultimately I was like, you know what? Forget it. I am just going to go all in on Micro Four Thirds, get all Lumix stuff. And I've been pretty happy with that. So yeah, sadly, those lenses are still sitting in a drawer, and I should probably sell them before they are not worth very much anymore. Carl says, I looked at the updated manual. It says headphone solo is only a feature on the higher end non-mini ATEMs. Know how robust the headphone routing will be. Yeah, that is my understanding, that it's only in the extreme models. I think so. Okay, based on the buttons on the ATEM software, there is a headphone button under each channel. So if I, oh, my computer is not wired into the ATEM yet. Oh, it is on that screen. Okay, so if I show you the ATEM software control, you can see the buttons down here. This is, of course, the ATEM Mini Pro. I don't have the Extreme yet, but these little things, you can enable them per channel, right? So my thought is that you'll be able to choose which ones to route over the headphone jack. I think those will just be enabled in the Extreme, where right now you can't click them because they don't do anything in the Pro. That is my guess. What's your connection for the StreamDeck XL? How is your experience? It looks amazing for the Extreme and Super Source. Yes. I am glad I got the StreamDeck XL because, yeah, with the Extreme, there's just going to be so many more things you can do with it. So it's going to need a lot more buttons. So I have mine. Let's see if this works. Yeah. I have mine down here. Oh, hello, focus. And it is actually connected to a Raspberry Pi that sits back there. So the Raspberry Pi runs Companion, which is this software, so I can go and configure all the buttons. And the nice thing about having it on a Raspberry Pi is that I don't, when this computer goes to sleep, or if I was using it with a laptop, all the buttons still work. So this is just always here, always on. I have a tiny one also, which is actually plugged into the computer, and I don't have very much on it right now. I do have it showing the number of YouTube live viewers, but I also have a button here for launching the ATEM software, so I can pop that up if I ever need to, in case it's hiding behind some windows. But yeah, this is connected to the Raspberry Pi, and I really like that setup because it does just mean the buttons are always online. I want to use ATEM Mini in a GoToMeeting conference. Will it work? It should work. Anything that accepts a webcam feed. Absolutely. Big, vague question. As an educational streamer with 2 input devices, why would you choose ATEM Mini over OBS and a double input capture card? So my big reason for that is because running multiple video feeds through OBS requires a computer that is decently powerful. And you're like, it's not really going to work on the like MacBook Airs. M1 might be able to do a better job of it now compared to the older Airs, but as soon as you start like bringing in multiple capture cards and chaining all that stuff together, it becomes very fragile and requires a big computer. Now, if you have a desktop computer and you can put one of those like PCI cards in it with all the ports on the back for multiple video capture video feed inputs, that's great. Like that's a good option. And I just don't want a loud, large desktop computer, or I don't want to spend that much money on it. So I'm using the M1 Mac Mini right now, and it's not doing any of the video work. It's just doing the chat overlays. That's the only thing that it has to do with the stream, other than just me using it. So that's a big difference for me, is that like I would like to be able to bring a small laptop the ATEM Mini, plug in cameras, and know that all the video routing is going through the ATEM, not through the computer. Thanks, Dean. That was a fun show. Yeah, that was, I think we're going to do that again. And we don't have it scheduled yet, but yeah, we're going to do that again. And we're going to use it as an excuse to test out different kinds of remote collaboration gear as well. So it won't always be on the ATEM. And we're also going to rotate through who is the control station. So that was running out of Photo Joseph Studio, but at some point, once I get the Extreme, I'm going to try a show where I run it off of mine and they call in remotely. We'll do one with the Preroll devices as well so that we can test out totally different kinds of gear as well. It'll be a lot of fun. Does the software update bring anything to the ATEM Mini, the old one? I assume you mean the base model ATEM Mini. It does. There's a couple of things they've launched that did still get added to the base ATEM Mini. I don't know if anything's changed in the last couple of versions, but they did add, they do keep adding things to it when they can. There is obviously less actual hardware in it, and so that limits what they can actually add to it, but they do keep pushing new features out whenever they can, when the hardware there is available and can actually be used. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Lynn, thank you. Are you aware of any webinar services that allow you to connect via RTMP stream key? Yes, actually, I was just looking at this. I was actually just looking at this because I was very tired with their web interface. So I don't know how much of a good sales pitch this is for this software, but it's on 24 and they call it a webinar platform. And oh, great. Okay, so if you search for on24 RTMP input, you get our forum thread because apparently nobody else cares about this. Let me share this with, yeah, there we go. So cross your fingers that this button works. Hey, look, it worked. Okay. On24 is, I did some digging and there is a help page in here that talks about broadcasting. They call it broadcasting into your webcasts. So I've been using On24 for like our webinars through work, and they like it because it gives them the ability to like sometimes I have that set up right to make the picture-in-picture go away, and sometimes I don't. They like it because it's sort of like an all-in-one lead capture, registration, paywall, not paywall, but you have to register ahead of time and then you have to, get in by entering your email address. So it's good for that kind of work. And I just really don't like the web interface for it. It's awkward to use. They have like a new one, which is a little bit better. Like, I forget what they call it. They have a new version of it that they're launching. It's especially, it's like mostly fine as like a one person thing. It is not great, especially if you have multiple people. And we've been doing some webinars with like 3 or 4 people, and StreamYard and Restream Studio are fantastic for that, where it's just like auto layouts and you can like share a screen really easily into it, and it actually looks good and it's easy to use. And I was like, hey, can we push from that into On24? And the answer is yes, you can, but they also charge more for it and you have to get a different plan. So that is my experience with that so far. I hope that helps. It's worth looking into it. I have mediocre things to say about that platform though. But thank you for the super chat. Okay. Who is your favorite Star Trek character? That's a tough one. I think my favorite series is actually Voyager, which is why I have the Voyager pin and not the TNG pin. But it might be the Doctor, the holographic Doctor on Voyager. What do you think about using the ATEM Mini with a live view solo? You can. I think that you have to get all the networking stuff wired up just right in order for that to work. If you want to be able to control your ATEM Mini over the network and use the live view solo, it helps to sort of build a little self-contained networking, LAN with all the devices so that your computer can jump onto that too. Yeah, I think it's good. I do think that there's a bunch of new workflows that might be more straightforward, even if they're technically less redundant, but because of the fact that the ATEM can now use a USB hotspot. So you can plug in your phone into the USB port and then stream over its hotspot tethering, which is fewer cables, which is really good. But that's not redundant. It's just, the LTE connection. So if you do have the live view, the one with the bonding or whatever, that's super cool. And that, if you need that redundancy, that is important. Have you had a chance to download the big ATEM Mini StreamDeck macros that became available a few days ago? I have not yet. Very cool series of videos. I'm actually going to, I invited them to come onto this live stream at some point. So we'll try to line that up in the near future to actually show that off. But he made a whole bunch of, let me see if I can try to find this so you know what I'm talking about, but made a whole bunch of macros not macros, StreamDeck profiles for the ATEM Mini to be able to control a ton of stuff with it. This is David Joshua Ford, and let me just drop that video link into here so you can find that again later. StreamDeck profiles. Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's I'll have him on here and we can talk about, he can show it off again here. Yeah, very, very impressive. A lot of buttons on that. Ooh, Burns says, did you check out the LoopDeck controller yet? And if so, what is your opinion? I did a while ago in this over the summer. I got the LoopDeck, the one with the little screen. So it's like the larger one. And I was super excited about it because it looked really cool. It looked like a fancy version of a StreamDeck. Within about 15 minutes of me using it, one of the buttons like broke. And I was like, this is not a good sign. And I just gave up. I was like, nope, okay, it's not worth, it's too much, it's too expensive for it to be breaking that fast. But yeah, maybe they have fixed it since then. I don't know. It was a while ago, and there's a new version out since then, so it could be that they've fixed it. Preroll Nano overload that day. Yeah, I got my video out on the release day for the Preroll Nano. I was trying to shoot for that, and I think it was a good call. What lens are you using on the G7? This is the 15mm Leica lens. It is my absolute favorite lens. And let me see if I have a link. I do have a link to it. This is the, there we go. Favorite lens for the G7, 15mm Leica. Yeah, it's great. I like it a lot. Question, how will you make the announcement when your stand is ready? Email, YouTube, video? Yes, all of the above. So this is very exciting. The ATEM Mini stand that I've been working on, this is my prototype of it, and the one that is actually, this is the one that I accidentally printed in shiny, sparkly black. I didn't realize that filament I bought was sparkly, but the one from DVE store that they are selling is regular flat matte black. Anyway, I have that in the box over there, and I'm gonna do a right after this. My project for the rest of the day is to actually get that product page up. So I'm gonna do a photo shoot, do a little video tutorial about how to assemble it, because it takes some screws and stuff to actually attach the parts all together. You can see there's some screws on the bottom. So you got to get all that attached, and then I'm going to do a video on that, do a video on what all the different small rig brackets you can attach to the sides, show how to put a monitor on the top, and hopefully launch that this week. really, I think it's just waiting on me right now, which is great. I like when things are waiting on me because it means that I can actually make them happen. Chairman of the board. What's the best way to overlay animated GIFs and stingers when using the ATEM Mini for a Zoom meeting? I want to level up my Zoom game. Well, I mean, I can show you what I did here. Let's see if this works. Get rid of that key. Be right back. Yeah, okay, so we can do that again. And that works by running the graphics off of the HyperDeck into one of the ATEM inputs. And then just doing, like, using some keys to make that work. So let me show you how that works, actually, since I said I was going to talk about that. Let's see, the pieces involved in that are a graphic that I created with some help that is that effect, and then it's a bunch of work in the ATEM. So let me show you that first. I spent a while like looking around for like a transporter effect, but it turns out that there are only a couple like in these stock websites, and they're okay. And then they're also, like, depending on the website you're on, the licensing on them is complicated. So I was like, I'm just going to make one. So essentially what it is it's 3 layers all stacked up. So 3 different things going on. I went to Apple Motion for this because I was like, Motion probably has some good sort of stock stuff built in. So here's one of them. This was actually more or less a thing that was already built in to Apple Motion. It was in the library, I think it's, what is it? Now I can't remember which one it is. It's probably under, wow, I totally don't remember which one it is. It is called Otherworld. Anyway, it's just like an effect. And I rotated it, stretched it, tweaked the colors to match the color scheme that I wanted it to have. And that's this one. That's just that effect. And that would work okay on its own. A little fade out there. But it looks even better when you start layering it. So another one that it has is actually a... oh, no, not that one. They actually do have a transporter effect in Apple Motion, which looks like that, which is also okay. But as soon as you put them together, it looks even better. Because you can have that come in first, and then that. And then I wanted even more, and this is where I got some help. This one is a couple of more layers that Camper from I talked with him in Discord on our Discord server, and this is what he put together. So he took my video, sort of made this mask out of my silhouette, and then it's like this little vertical line plus a little particle shower. And then I faded the edges as well. And when you put them all 3 together, it kind of goes by so fast that you can't really tell what's going on, and it looks kind of cool, right? So that is the video. And then I synced up that sound as well. So the sound effect is coming in. I lined it up with the sound effect so that the peak of that transporter is right there. Like the transporter sound is right there. So anyway, that is exported out to the that's exported out to the HyperDeck. So the HyperDeck sees that as a video file. And then so if I go to, yeah, you can see there's 3 clips on this card, right? I have my countdown clip, the transporter clip, and if I play this and pause it there. So if I show you what's on the HyperDeck right now, oh, it's gonna, I should probably turn that sound off. Let me scrub back a little bit. So this is now coming into the ATEM Mini as one of the inputs, which is why I can switch to it like this. I can switch between my computer and that. I keep forgetting the HyperDeck is set to auto roll, which is convenient, but yeah, so we don't want to switch to it. We want to use it as a downstream key. So let me go back to here, and then while this is up in the still frame, let me show you how I did the key. So the key is using I believe it's using the, no, I can't remember if it's using downstream or upstream. I think I can do it with the downstream key to keep this layout. So if I go and choose media as the source, we're not going to mask that at all. And if I just turn that on, okay, I've got to figure out, I've got to make that stop auto playing. Okay, so there's the effect. And if you adjust the clip, right, you'll see it's kind of not looking super great because I don't have a proper alpha channel on this. It's just a black background. But if you click pre-multiply, it actually kind of just works. It's definitely not supposed to work this way, but it looks fine, right? And now as I scrub through, you can see that like it's doing a pretty good job. Oops, I loaded the other clip. There we go. So yeah, looks pretty good. And then I just, line myself up to sit right there so that it mostly looks like it's covering my face. And then the real trick is transitioning from the still of my studio to my face. So what's going on there is, let me turn off the key. In my media pool, what I did is right before I started, and this is the key, right immediately before the show, I'm sitting here, everything is, my studio is lit a certain way. I delete that. And then I put my camera full screen. And then I click I'm going to click this capture still button. So I'm going to duck down, get out of the shot, capture still, and there it is. So now we've got a still frame. And that is what I can now use as the base plate. So when I want to start the show, I can switch to that, run the transporter effect, and then fade to my live camera. So fading, the fade that I did is this wipe, center wipe. So from the center, it's just gonna wipe out like that, right? And that kind of matches up with the transport effect. So if I bring that on, and let me back up to sort of the peak of the effect there. So you can see that I'm going to go from not being there, and then as soon as the clip hits here, I'm going to fade myself in from the center so that by the time this finishes out, I'm now appearing. So that is the effect. Using this T-bar to crossfade and just getting the timing just right. So the other trick is the timing. So if I look at my this is the button that does it all. Well, this is the first button, which is prep the transporter, which is queuing up the, turning on the audio, queuing up the graphic, queuing the right clip in the media player, go to clip 3 in the HyperDeck. That's all done in Companion. And then this show start button, this is what I was, had my finger over while the countdown was going. So I would, this does fades out the countdown, runs a macro to load up the right graphics, loads the transporter clip in the macro, and then presses the prep transporter. And then when I'm ready to actually beam myself up, I've got a beam me up button. And that, actually, all it does is this. It because the prep transporter loads all the clips in place and gets everything ready, it actually sets the upstream key on air, which is where the HyperDeck is playing. So I was using the upstream, not the downstream key, but same idea. Because the HyperDeck itself is set to auto start, again, in the HyperDeck config, you can say auto roll. So whenever the ATEM switches to that input, it'll just start. It'll tell the HyperDeck to play. So the clip's all queued up. As soon as that comes on air, it'll start rolling. So by bringing the upstream key on air, it starts rolling that clip. And then I just had to wait. I had to time it out. And I realized that 2.5 seconds, you can kind of go look in Apple Motion Clip. 2.5 seconds is right there. And that's where I want to then do the wipe. So it was actually the StreamDeck or companion doing that timing right so that it brings me in at the right time. And that is the trick. That's the secret. Pretty fun. And it took a lot of work to get the timing right and like all the layering and stuff, but that is one way to level up your Zoom game. The key there is the HyperDeck is the video source, and I took advantage of the fact that the HyperDeck can be told to play when it comes on air. Otherwise, it would take more sort of getting the timing just right of timing other things. Okay, let me see if there's any questions about that before we move on. This all fails if someone changes the light colors with the super chat. Yes, if somebody had sent me a super chat in the pre-roll, I would have had to change my light back to white before I started. So yes, it relies on the other part of the trick was right before I was ready to come on air is when I took the snapshot, because if you touch anything, if anything moves, it's gonna be off, right? Like if the position of my background light changes, like if I turn it, everything looks different all of a sudden, right? Like it's dramatically different, and that would be enough to ruin the effect. Or like if one of those little battery lights died partway through, it would totally change the background, and then it wouldn't look right. So I had to, right before I started, do that snapshot, store that in the media pool. That way I can cut from that to myself. So much for a few seconds, but it looks super cool. Yes, it was. There was a lot there. Totally worth it. Yes. Who's gonna try making this after the show? Please do go wild. I would love to beam your CEOs into meetings. I think that'd be a lot of fun. You should see how much work goes into a 30-second commercial. Absolutely. I think people underestimate how much work goes into the things we see on television. Intro gag challenge coming for the Discord. Ooh, yeah. That'd be fun. In the start show action, can you show the macro to run the graphic? Oh yeah, so let me dig into that. The start show macro or button. Oops, this one. Okay, so I have a couple macros in here. This one, which the other part is because I'm going from my countdown timer to this, I have to be able to swap things out at the right time. So my the way that countdown works, the music is actually baked into the countdown timer. That's a video clip playing from the HyperDeck. And I have that, like the music ends right at 0, but it trails for a few seconds. So this macro, pretty sure still shot open. I'm pretty sure all that does is, it loads in a certain clip from the media pool. It loads in that blank slate. And then, what is all this? Oh, this is also queuing up the wipe transition and queuing the media player into the preview and stuff like that. So it's queuing everything up. And that is the auto button. So it's loading the graphic, queuing into the preview, and then transitioning to it. So that's how you get from the map to the blank slate. So that's that macro. Load transporter clip is the next one, which is it has to wait. Oh my gosh, load transporter clip. So it actually waits 6 seconds, and that's to let the music trail off, because I didn't want to do a hard cut. So that lets the music trail off, and then because the music's in the HyperDeck, and then it switches the HyperDeck. It tells the HyperDeck to stop, and it loads clip 3, which is index 2, because it counts by 0. So then that loads the transporter clip, cues it there, turns on the audio for the hyperdeck, and then I'm ready. So then it then presses that button, which queues up the transporter effect, which is not in a macro. It's actually mostly just actions here. Although there is that one. What's Q transporter? Oh, Q transporter is a macro that sets all the key effects properly. And again, this is why I say it's actually easier to just press all the buttons, because having to look all these up would have been too much work. It was easier to just go into the software control and be like, okay, I've got it the way I want it. Let me write a macro now, which is going to go and press all these buttons of blah, 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 right? Where that's how I got all these in here. I don't remember what they all mean. But prep transporter is the one that goes and says, okay, put my camera over there on the preview, put the media player on the program, set up the audio right, load the right clip into the hyperdeck, and then beat me up is just the bring it on air. There's a lot to it. I don't have a hyperdeck, but I've faded myself in and out. Yes. So if you don't have a hyperdeck, you can still do the appear. You just don't get the little overlay. So without the hyperdeck, it actually still is pretty cool. Like if I load up my, how do I want to show this to you? I wish I could show you the multi-view. I'm gonna have to use my camera for that. So if wait, I can't because that's the program. Oh well. So the media player 1 is that still frame, right? And then if I switch to media player 2 or to the main camera, that's live. But you can imagine being able to crossfade between those would, if you did something more than just an appear effect, if you did like the wipe transition, it will look actually pretty good. And I can show you what it looks like. So let me bring my main camera over there, get rid of the key. I'm going to put the still graphic on the screen. And now as I do the wipe transition, I'm appearing, right? And if you do it fast enough, it'll just sort of, you can just appear. And that's no hyperdeck. That's just in the ATEM Mini itself. Like no, it's one camera, the media pool, and the ATEM Mini. Like that's it. So you can do that effect without any additional stuff. And it looks pretty good, but I wanted to go the extra step of having the animation appear over it and the sound effect, which is where you need something to play that video. But otherwise, like, oh, you can see my background is, because I moved the light, you can see the background is changing a bit. But you don't need a hyperdeck to get sort of appear effects. There's a bunch of different wipe transitions too. So you can do, that's the center wipe, but you could also do the vertical wipe. And you can change the direction too. So you can go from the bottom, beam me up. Looks pretty cool. Lots of fun little toys you can do. Okay. Let me go back and talk about some stuff, more serious stuff. Joe says, unless they updated their backend since July, the platform was trashed for the presenter. So they did update it since July. The new one is very different. That's what I've been using at O'Reilly for the O'Reilly workshops. Again, it's not my favorite thing in the world. It is not good for multi-person webinars, but it's apparently got enough tools that the marketing people on the front end like it. And sometimes I just have to deal with that. It does the whole registration step and all that. But yeah, the new version is a lot better. What do they call it? Elite Studio or something, I think. On 24. Yeah, I think it's called the Elite. No, that's an old name. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure that out later. But yeah, it got a lot better. O'Reilly switched to the new one, and I was like, okay, I think it's a little bit nicer. But yeah, like the Q&A widget in there, it's not the nicest. It's hard to kind of scroll through it. So I end up using Slido for Q&A. Anyway. Your ATEM window is flickering. I don't know what that means. Okay. I have 4 guests on a roundtable. What camera would you recommend as the headshot looking at 4 GoPros plus 4 GoPro 9s You know, I'm not a big fan of the GoPros for a couple of reasons. They are very expensive if you're just using them as a still camera. Like most of the features in a GoPro are there to make it an action camera. And you don't need any of that if you're using it as a still camera. It's not a very good picture indoors. Like it's meant for super bright light outside, like in the snow and in the sun. And it's great for that. I don't like the picture quality you get when you're using it indoors. Even if you have decent lighting, it just looks like a GoPro. I would go for something else, honestly. The other trick is like, you still have to figure out continuous power on them. I don't know if the 9 has solved this, but I do remember having some challenges with continuous power on them previously. I think it was the 7 and the 5 is what I've used. So maybe they've made some good changes with the 9, but I don't know. I would personally would not use those. Maybe one at the super wide angle just for the wide angle view, just because it's nice to have like one wide angle shot you can cut to, but I wouldn't use 4 of them like as the portrait camera for people. I would get something a little bit nicer. And if you're already going to spend, what is it, like, how much is a GoPro 9? They're not cheap. That's the thing. If it was like $100, I would be like, sure. $449 for the GoPro 9. Yeah, like at that point, get a used Lumix G7 or GX85 or even a GH5 at this point. You can probably find used for like not a whole lot more, and they're going to be so much better. It might end up costing a little more than $450 per camera. I do think it'll be worth it. What low-cost media playback device would you recommend other than a computer that works well with an ATEM Mini? So, okay, HybridDeck, not exactly low cost. It is like $500 or whatever, $600. An iPad with iMix 16, I think is actually a pretty good solution. That is it's a theater playback app, basically. It's meant for like cues for live productions, and it does a combination of MP3 files, like just straight up audio files. You can also do video files. It'll output the video over the HDMI port, a clean feed over the HDMI. You can even do graphics, just still graphics. And it has a lot of controls. It can be controlled over MIDI. It can be controlled, like it's a solid app for that. It's definitely meant for that kind of work, which is nice. It is a paid app, I believe, but I don't think it's very expensive. It does obviously require you have an iPad as well, but again, you can find an iPad. They're not super expensive. I don't think you need the newest one at all to have a good experience with it. Oh, okay. Hey, this is a good question. What is the small camera you have above your monitor? Great question. Let me give you a little demo of that, because that is the little thing I wanted to talk about today. This was actually sent to me by Pergear. So they're selling this now. It actually was a Kickstarter project, or maybe it was Indiegogo. Anyway, it was a Kickstarter project a while ago. And it is now like actually in production, and you can get it through Pergear. I did put a link to this down below. So this is a little PTZ automatic webcam, which is kind of cool. So let me show you what this does. Get my inputs routed back again. I'm going to switch to this on the ATEM. So what I'm doing is, it's a webcam. It does not have HDMI, so I can't route it into the ATEM directly, of course. But it is plugged into my computer, and then it's just I'm running QuickTime in full screen to be able to show you what the camera looks like. So I'm going to switch to that camera, and I'm going to switch my audio to the lav mic so you can actually hear me as I walk around. So this is what the camera looks like, and this is the audio. Looks like the audio is still good. So now I'm on the lav mic. And the idea with this camera is it will actually follow you around. So if I get up, it's going to track my face, and it can actually just follow me around the room. So you can see that it's tucked behind all my stuff. So apologies for all the mess. You can look into my video rig up close, but I can show you my shelf that I installed recently to store things on. Very exciting shelf. And my the rest of my room over here, where I've got these little drawers. And as I come over here, oh, I'm over here. Hello. Follow me. Okay, I think it has gestures. If you do that, it like will start and stop tracking. Yeah, I must have accidentally triggered it. You can tell it to stop tracking by like doing this gesture, and then it'll pause. And now it's locked. Yeah, there we go. And if I want to resume, I can, don't bump into that. Okay. Hello. Follow me around. Okay. And where did it go? Hello. There we go. And you can see the giant disaster of a mess I made back here as I'm still getting things put together in the studio. This is my last project. Come down here. Can you see me? Come down here. This is my last project in the studio. This is a cardboard box that is full of converters. There's this cable going along the floor that is holding like 8 SDI cables that go over to this desk. And I need to build a box for this. A real box, not a cardboard box. So that is my last project in here before I'm considering this done. And I finally got all the pieces in for it. I got wood cut to the right size, so all I have to do is attach it with some glue and some screws. And that is the other thing I'm going to be doing today. After I get photos done for that. So yeah, how did that look? I think it's pretty cool. The little, any questions about that? Oh, there's a whole conversation going on in the chat. Yeah, cool little camera. So yeah, there's a link to it down below. I'll drop it in the chat also. And I thought it was pretty clever. I could definitely see that being useful for like if you're teaching, doing, you know, fitness stuff or teaching in front of a large whiteboard or blackboard or something, then you know, plugs into your computer, so it's just a zoom camera by default, and definitely could see that being useful. And yeah, the quality is decent. It is a totally fine webcam. That is the link. It is in the chat and the description. But yeah, it is a webcam. It is not an HDMI camera. I do wish they would make an HDMI version. I think that'd be super, super cool. Or SDI even, because frankly, you're probably going to want it to be mounted at a pretty far distance from your ATEM. But maybe they will make a new version of it. We'll see. Yeah, the tracking is surprisingly good. It is. It's doing you know, facial recognition in the camera to be able to track. Pretty cool. And I did confirm it's doing that in the camera, not on my computer. I didn't have to install any software on my computer to make that work. And I even plugged it into a Raspberry Pi, and it worked with that, with like absolutely no software running on the Raspberry Pi. So it just shows up as a webcam, and then the actual face tracking happening inside of the camera. All right. I'm going to scroll back up and, oh, does it have manual PTZ mode? I didn't install any software for it, so I don't think so. But yeah, it has these hand gestures. It has a couple more that I didn't use, but it is, let me see if the manual has the little diagram. No, it doesn't. It comes with a charger too, which I don't really understand why, because it seems to be powered fine over USB. Yeah, they have a couple other hand gestures, but I've really only memorize the one for start and stop tracking, which is easy enough. HDMI face tracking, PTZ, would be very cool. I do think that that is something that would be very easy for them to make as a future model. So hopefully they do. No color. It's all automatic. It's really just meant to be like, instead of the little webcams you get that are stationary. Yeah, you don't really need to use the hand gestures because it just, like, it'll just work. It's on. You can also just like move it. So I can just like, you can just grab it and just turn it around too if you want. Cool. Okay, there's a very intense conversation going on down there in the chat. I don't know what that's about. Did you just see the OBSBot webcam? Yes, you did. All right, let me scroll back up, see if there's anything else I can grab here for the last few minutes. And there's a bunch of questions I'm not going to get to. I'm sorry. And the original series is the 1-2 Trek. No, nope. Sorry. I do want to make sure I have time to finish the video tutorial assembly instructions for this. So I do want to make sure I wrap up with a reasonable amount of time today. I've been trying to find supported USB hubs for simultaneous tethering and recording with the ATEM Mini Pro. Got any recommendations? I'm pretty sure the one that I have in the other, well, hey, look at this. I can just do this now. And you can follow me over to my bag full of stuff. This one. Pretty sure this one works. It is the, it's an Anchor hub. So it's got USB-C and then 4 regular USBs. Yeah, that, and then you plug in a hard drive and your phone over USB, and then it can tether to both. Should work. This one, I believe, yeah, I was playing around with that earlier. Did I link to it? I don't think I linked to it yet. Nope. With 8 inputs, 2 outputs, do you think it will cover more people who might have considered buying the HDMI video hub? They don't make a HDMI video hub. There are HDMI matrices, but I do think the 2 outputs give you a ton of interesting possibilities on the ISO because both you can route any video to them. It's not limited to program and multi-view like some other hardware devices are. So you can actually use it as a router if you wanted to. Like if you somehow don't need multi-view, you can feed a projector and a conference monitor, or if you do need multi-view but you still want to feed a conference monitor, great for that. I think that there's going to be some workflows that still need more routing, more options, but having the aux out is super useful. Good question. Does the latest Extreme version with SuperSource make something like Ecamm or OBS less needed? Kind of. I think that like there's going to be so many more layouts you can do in the ATEM using SuperSource. My favorite, like side by side speakers slides next to a picture of the video of the speaker with a background like animation or still graphic. That's all now possible in the Extreme thanks to SuperSource. So yeah, in that sense, you don't need to do that in OBS or Ecamm anymore. However, one of the things that Ecamm and OBS still do help with is bring in remote feeds. Like Ecamm has Ecamm Caller built in where it just handles it all for you. Very cool feature. I did a video about that. Search my channel for Ecamm and you'll find it. And that is a very cool feature that isn't in the ATEM Mini. And we've sort of approximated it with the streaming bridge, but that isn't a 2-way link. It's a 1-way link. So you still have to have another call going somehow anyway. Are you aware of a DIY solution for buffering a live stream to your own server, add a delay, and then final destination? I believe I believe the Nginx RTMP can do it. Yes. Okay, there is. The way to do this is I'll link to this. I just Googled for this, but the RTMP stream delayer is the project, and basically the way it works is if you follow my video for setting up a DIY streaming bridge, that gets you all the way to set up the whole Nginx stuff, and where you can then add in these config options. But basically, it's setting up a thing that records and then republishes with a delay. But yeah, that is cool. What power does the ATEM Mini Pro use? It uses a regular 12-volt barrel jack. I don't remember the polarity on it, but the ISO needs to be 36 watts at 12 volts. It can technically accept a range of voltages. It says from 6 to like, what is it, 6 to 16 or something. I forget exactly. It says it on the website, but you do need to make sure it's powerful enough. So 36 watts at 12 volts is powerful enough. That's what they ship with the ATEM. All right. Pricing on the stand. I believe we are shooting for $40 US. The UK version will be something close to that. And then it's going to be sold in two variations. One, just this, which is the plastic parts with the screws, and then another will include the small rig brackets if you don't have them. Or you can just bring your own small rig brackets. Like there's a spot on here for one. This is all going to be in the video that I'm shooting in 5 minutes. But you'll be able to buy it depending on whether you have a bunch of small rig stuff or want to source those yourself. But yeah, very excited. Henrik, thank you. Your channel's been absolutely invaluable in helping me getting my job. Higher ed teacher done as well as I have for the past year. I appreciate it very much. I'm glad you have been able to keep doing that job well. Okay. Ooh, this is another good one. Any recommendations? I will wrap up with this. So, recommendations on custom cases with a monitor for the ATEM Mini Extreme. I've also been talking with somebody who is building both a case for the ATEM Mini Pro and Extreme with a monitor and a bunch of ports attached to it. Also a rack mount shelf for the ATEM Mini Pro and or Mini and Extreme. And we are chatting, going back and forth on designs. We would like to know like what features you want in a drawer that would be a rack mount drawer for the ATEM Mini. So the idea would be like set your ATEM Mini in the 1U, you'd be able to pull it out like a drawer, and then have access to whatever it is. Like, would love to know what you would like to see in something like that, whether it's, you know, making sure that it clamps down and holds the ATEM Mini tight, make sure that there's spots to plug in cables, or whatever features you want. Let us know. The best way to do that is not going to be in this chat because this video is about to end. It's going to be to post it into the forums, which is, let me share this link. The forum thread is your wish list for a 1U ATEM Mini rack mount. And let me just bring that back onto the screen so I can show you. So this thread, I'll drop this link in a second, but go ahead and post in here like pictures of racks you've built or things that you wish a solution had that would make your life easier, because this is in the design stages right now, and it is going to be hopefully available in the near future. He's also working on a case version, which will include, again, it'll be like a slot for the ATEM Mini, plus places to plug in wires, and there's room in the bottom to put a bunch of gear, which will have ports poking up at the top that you can attach things to. So all of that will be coming soon, hopefully. I am, yeah, very excited about that. Okay, last Last couple questions. Will I design a similar stand for the ATEM Mini Extreme? Bad timing because we were so close to getting this out and then they announced the Extreme. Yes, I am going to redesign this for the Extreme. It's going to take some thinking through because this is about as long as this can be without it starting to bend. So I'll have to figure out how to deal with that. Probably some sort of middle support bracket. I also can't do it until I get mine because I need to be able to measure it. So it'll be a little while longer before that's out, but I am planning on doing that. And yep. Do I offer one-on-one consultations? I do not right now. I don't have the time for that. I barely have the time for these live streams and videos I do on this channel. However, I can recommend two excellent people who do one-on-one consultations. That is Photo Joseph and John Barker. And I will, I should just start linking to them in the video description because I always mention them. This is, I do. I link to them in this video description. How about that? I'll drop it in the chat too. So here's Photo Joseph's page and here is John Barker's page. And you can book time with them one-on-one, and they are also very knowledgeable about all of this stuff. And you can even see some of our joint streams now together on the channel. So yes, that's about it for today. Let me cue up my outro music. Would love to see you do a longer live show. Oof. Yeah. We covered a lot today. That was a whirlwind. We did a little tutorial on how to beam yourself in. We did a little demo of a fun webcam, and as always, talked about all sorts of things around streaming and technology. Okay, thanks. I'm gonna go get to work on shooting this tutorial for the assembly of the stand, and that is my project for the rest of the day. So with that, thank you all for joining, and I will see you all next time. I keep forgetting to build myself an outro button. Well, that's it. See ya.